Hey everybody, Bob Horn here. I wanted to show you guys a little excerpt from my latest seminar on Pro Studio Live. So next, after the snare, we have a loop. This is a full kit loop, kick, snare, hat. And without plugins, it sounds pretty cool. The bass drum sounds nice, the hat sounds nice, it's a cool snare. But I wanted to mess it up a little bit because in the rough mix, I noticed they had this loop fairly low. It was more just about the program kick and the program snare. And I wanted a little bit more movement, so I wanted to have this louder. But I didn't want all that low end mixing with our program kick because we have a great kick and we have a great snare. So, and I also noticed when I put this in the mix that the snare disappeared from the loop and it was mostly just the hi-hat and the kick. So these plugins basically are all to bring out that snare and kind of dirty it up. So here's what we got going on. This is the Arouser again. Pretty extreme. It has a lot of energy. We're doing a fairly fast attack. We're saturating as much as we can, 100% on the mix, and we're doing 6-to-1 ratio. Almost sounds boring when you bypass it, so this is really giving it a good energy. Help move the song. So then I sculpted it to kind of pull out the things that interfered with the program kick and snare we already have. I'm filtering the subs, but I did a little resonant peak right before that drop, pulling out a little bit of mud and pulling out a little bit of the lower end of the hi-hat and the upper end of the snare. And then pulling down the crispiness of the hi-hat. We have more hi-hats to mix in, so this hi-hat we got to be careful with. And in fact, I actually slid. We have a live hi-hat that was played, and I had to time it with this loop because they were flaming a little bit. So I'll get back. I'll get to that and show you guys what I did. This is really interesting though. So this is again the FabFilter Pro multiband. If you guys don't know about this plugin, it's really a genius plugin. It does so many things. I'm compressing the high end and the low end, but I'm expanding the mid range where the snare is. But the thing that I'm doing is I'm using an external key on this band for the snare, and that's being sent by a bus from our program snare. Sorry, here it is. So from our program snare, we're sending that. See, it's not moving unless that snare's playing. So what that's doing is that's bringing our snare up louder. It's because it's just the mid-range. It's kind of a dirty lo-fi sound, which I like a lot. And then these two bands are internal. They're not keyed from the snare. They're just internal. And this is pulling down on the bass drum. Again, I don't really need much of that frequency because we have our nice program bass drum that sounds good. And then the hi-hat, kind of taming that a little bit. So it turns our loop into like this lo-fi cool thing that's mostly about the snare. So that, with our program kick and snare, sounds like this. So it has some movement, some life. We got this crispy snare, this deep kick. So that lo-fi loop just kind of gives us some dirt in there and some movement, which sounds really good for this song. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that excerpt from my video. Hope you got some tips from it. And please click the link below in the description to see the whole video.